Hi everyone, welcome back to the BISP Solutions. My name is Anjali and let's start the workforce planning. We are on the completing stage, like the final stage. We have seen how we can add the employee in the organization for the new hiring, and all the workforce planning life cycle we have completed. Now we are on the final stage, like after admitting an employee, the next thing is we load the data in the application, and after that we see all the calculations we test manually. So I'll again show you how you can do the data validation in your Excel sheet, because when you enter the data in the application, so the data should be matched with your requirement. Okay, so now I'll again show you the data validation, and then we'll move towards the transfer, retirement or departure. So we will see that how we can make that process in the workforce planning. So let's start. So we are on the application like PBCS workforce planning, and first let me check that if the user variables are already there. So everything is there, like I'm going to use the currency USD, entity marketing US, and current scenario OEP plan, working version. We are doing it for the financial year 24. Basically we are starting the planning from November itself, from the financial year 24. My employee ID will be E003. Job is finance director. Then again employee parent, I have taken the same, that is E003, and then January period. Click on save. Now I am on the home page, and just click on the compensation planning. So because in the previous session we have completed the whole process, like how we can associate the employee with the existing one, then after that how the calculations look here in the application, the data form. So I'm sharing everything once again. First you go to the manage employees, new hires, and here just right click and you add the hiring requisition. So according to this all the jobs we have defined here, like the accountant, analyst, developer, engineer, finance manager, and programmer, you can add any hiring requisition for any of the posts. Then after that you can define whether the employee is regular, contractor, temporary, or anything else. So whatever you define here, things will be calculating according to the defaults and assumptions we defined previously. So we already defined the salary, additional earnings, benefits, and taxes. So if you see here in the defaults, so I have added 3 posts, like the analyst, developer, and engineer. The UC001, that means the union code. Just right click again and you can add a salary default, so that you can see the calculations. So suppose I want to make it under the grade 1. Union code is UC001. You can change the union code also. Then let's add a new job. Let's add sales associate and click on OK. So in this way you can define the salary grade, and similarly you need to add the additional earnings, benefits, and taxes. Now one more thing, the salary will be calculated according to the grades we have already defined. Like in our sheet, if we see the requirement sheet, so everything is already defined according to the grades. So many grades are defined from 1st to 9th. So salaries are calculating according to these grades. Okay, now you can see here when I click on general, and my entity was marketing US. So everything I have already mentioned here about the hours per day, hours per week. So this is we have already defined in the previous sessions. If you have not watched the previous videos, you can check that on the YouTube channel. Then after that, come to the salary grades. So here, according to the grades, I have defined everything. So if I choose any of these grades, so the salary will be calculated according to this. From here, we can choose the basis, like are we going to calculate this on the monthly basis, hourly, weekly, annually, or anything you want. So my grade 3 I want to calculate annually, and grade 2 is monthly. Okay, so I have defined the salaries accordingly for all the years, all the planning years. Then merit rates are also defined previously, like if the employee performance is below the expectations, so the rates will be this. If he meets the expectations, so the rates will be 5%. If he works like far exceed the expectation, so we are going to get the 10% of increment. Then if we want to need improvement to that employee, so we can take here the 4%. Then after that, if the employee fails to meet the expectations, so it will be going to take only 3%. So accordingly the salary will be increased. Now in the additional earnings, we are doing it for the sales associate, right? So previously I have added this for the analyst, developer and engineer. Now just right click and add earning default. Yes, we want to make it for accommodation allowance. Then the jobs. Okay, so this time I have taken here the sales analyst or sales associate. The union code will be same, UC001, and no options. I can choose option 1 also, but I am taking it on to the no options only. Then this is additional earning defined for just one allowance. Similarly, I can add some more allowances like the responsibility. Union code will be same for each allowance, otherwise we can see the calculation. Sales associate and okay. So this is already I have defined so many times when I add a new employee to the organization, just for the sake of making people understand like how you can add a new post in your organization, a new employee when you hire. So how we can add in the workforce planning. So my allowances are already done. Now go to the benefits, and here I'm gonna just right click and add benefit defaults. So I have 3 benefits, like if you see in the sheet, like the requirement sheet, so here also some benefits are predefined, like the pension contribution, the medical contribution, the maternity leave, the provident fund, everything, right? So medical contribution, and if you want to add some more benefits apart from this, so you can add definitely with your metadata file, or you can use the dimension editor option if you want to add 2-3 benefits extra. So there are options so that we can add. I'm looking for the sales associate. Okay, so here one more thing needs to remind, that things should be correlated, otherwise we cannot see the calculation for exact employee union code or exact employee. So things should always be correlated. So like I have added for medical contribution, similarly I am going to add for the provident fund. Sales associate, no option. Options and tiers are always up to you guys, like If you want to add some more options in your application, you can always add that. So we have added the medical contribution and the provident fund. Now I'm going to take here the maternity leave as well. Union code UC001. Job is sales analyst. Sales associate. So in this way we have added successfully the additional earnings like the allowances as well as the benefits. Now come to the taxes. So the calculation, basically why we are doing this, why we are adding the defaults, because according to these defaults and assumptions the calculation took place. So this is the reason why I am defining everything here. So you can take any of the tier, like no tier I am going to use. Tier 1, 2, 3 is already specified here. We can take anything. Just right click once again so that we can add one more tax. So I'm not going to take Medicare and Social Security. I'm just going to take here the state income tax and the federal income tax. My union code will be same. Job is sales associate. And then click on OK. So in this way we need to define everything. Now if it is done, then just check all the assumptions is correctly there or not according to the same entity or scenario, because the intersection should be same all time. Okay, so this is for general assumption. Let me check it once again. Marketing US. From this error you can go ahead. Then the salary grades. So marketing US, 3 grades are already defined here, and the merit rates. Now if everything is done, then just go back and just refresh the database once so that everything will get updated automatically. So this is refresh without any errors. That means we are going right. Now again click on the workforce and compensation planning, then move towards the manage employees. So as we have added accountant, analyst, developer, engineer, finance manager and programmer, and you can see the employee type, start date, FTE assumption, headcount assumption, then the total headcount, everything is clearly mentioned. Because I have already associated these employees, many of these employees with the existing one, that is why you cannot see the benefits and the total compensation here, because once we added this to the existing employee, we see all the calculations directly here. So here you can see the total compensation, and under the total compensation the total earnings, total salary, benefits, taxes, everything is defined. So again go to the new hires and just right click, add hiring requisition. Number of requisition 1 employee is working 8 hours per day, so the full-time employee, that means FTE for each is also 1. And from here we can change the employee type. You can take the regular, contractor and temporary. Let's go with the regular one. Okay, now start date I want to take it January 1st. Next, just click here on the job, sales associate, union code is UC001. From here we need to define the salary options, like from where it takes it fetches the salary amount. So salary default, salary basis and rate, and salary grade, everything we defined already. So let's go with the salary default. Click on next, and here we can give any comments. and then click on launch. So you can see the requisition added successfully. And you can see under the total compensation, you see the amount, and if you expand this, you will find the amount for total salary, total earnings, total benefits, and then total taxes. Okay. So this is done. Now the next thing is, because we have defined everything in the default assumptions, we just want to synchronize everything so that the calculation will make correctly. So according to the defaults and assumptions we have specified there. So let's first, the first rule which we need to run after this step is the synchronized component definition. Just click on that, so automatically it will run. So synchronized definition was successful. Now next thing is synchronized default. And the third thing is, just right click and click on calculate compensation. So by these rules we can get the exact calculation. Now once it is done, we need to make this new employee under the existing one, because now this employee we want to make it an active employee under the organization. So just right click here and associate, click on associate employee. You can change the requisition also. Now let's associate this with the E0003. Any of the employee I can take with whom I want to associate my current employee, my new employee. So now the calculation you cannot see here because this is new hires page. Calculation is already out from here. Now the calculation will be visible here in the existing employees. So basically my third employee, that is E0003, name is Cranston Paul. So everything is visible here. The sales associate is active. Now you can see the status of the employee. The employee type is regular, FT assumption 1, merit month we want to give the increased rate, that is merit rate from February, because we have joined the employee in the 1st of January. So from second month we want to give the merit, and union code, and here the compensation is specified. So you can see the total salary, the total earnings, total benefits, total taxes, everything. Okay. You can even maximize this from here if you want. So everything will be clearly visible, and from here you can download the spreadsheet also. You can export it. So everything is you will find there in the Excel, whatever calculation took place here. Okay. Now the next step after this, just click on the employee details. We have already completed the hiring requisition and we have associated the new employee with the existing one. Then now click on the employee details. From here we need to specify the job of the employee. So it was sales associate and Cranston Paul is the name of the employee. Click on right. So every calculation is visible here. Okay. Now let me show you. The start month is January. Okay. And start date is 1st of January 2024. Basic salary we are going to give this employee as a monthly. Total FT, let's maximize this and see it very carefully. Total FTE is 1 because we have added one employee. Headcount assumption is 1. Okay, one more thing, when you see the requirement sheet, so we need to hire the employee according to the requirement. Like here you can see in the grade 2 we have 1 employee total. Then after that, number of staff after recruitment becomes 4. So in this way we can specify what number of employees we want in the organization. So this is for the HO support, then operations, then education, everything we can define according to this. And here the recommended merit normally it is 2%, but if we want to change it, so we need to change the status, not status, basically performance. Okay, so from February we want to change it. So we can specify that the employee is working as per the expectation. If I click on meet expectation and click on save, so I'll be getting 10% here. Let's see. Okay, not 10%, meet expectation rate was 5%, but if suppose in the March he works far exceed expectation, and click on save again, so the employee will be getting 10% of raise. Similarly for rest of the months, if I click on need improvement, then click on save, so the rate will automatically fetches from there where we have loaded, so it is 4%. So accordingly the calculation took place. Now suppose meet expectation throughout the year after April. Okay, let's click on save and see the rate difference. So now 5% of raise will be getting by the employee. Okay, now the next thing after this, partial payment factor we have already discussed. This is related to the maternity leave. If the employee goes on maternity leave, so the organization is paying the full time like 100% salary or not. It depends on the organization. Here we have taken 100%, but if suppose the organization have taken 50% or something, so we can use that. Accordingly the calculation took place. Once again, just click on the actions. So everything you will find there in the Excel with the help of spreadsheet export. Now close this and see the calculations. Now let's maximize this. Here you can see all the calculation clearly visible, because we have added this employee in the grade 1. So the calculation is taking the grade 1 basic salary, and if I see in the requirement sheet, so there also my calculation for the amount for the grade 1 is 6919945. So it is correct. Okay, now the merit increase, because from the next month we are giving the increment, so according to the rates, because we have defined different rates, somewhere the employee is working as per the meet expectations, somewhere we need improvement. So accordingly the percentage fetch from there and the calculations took place here. And after that let's export this spreadsheet and see do the data validation there itself. Okay, so here we will do the data validation. Okay, I am going to do this for 1 month, so rest of the things you will already understand, like how they have calculated for the other months and the final calculation. So let's check one by one thing. Basic salary should be for the grade 1 6919945, so it is absolutely correct. And how it come, basically what happened, the basic salary, like the actual figure we have, that is 6751166. Okay, and if we see the calculation, so there is 2.5% increment is getting by the employee. So we have added this percent, so we get this 6919945. And let me show you why I am adding this 2.5%, because there is already given by the bank that they want to give the increment of 2.5%, not only for the basic salary, they want to give for the transport allowance, accommodation, responsibility and everything. Okay, so this is the reason why we have taken that 6919 figure. So it is correct, so I am marking it as a green color. Okay, now let's see the accommodation. Now basically what is happening here, the accommodation allowance, we have used the flat rate because already specified here in the sheet, requirement sheet. So the accommodation rate should be 2297,388. Let's check. 2297,388. It is absolutely correct. So I'm marking it as a green color. Then responsibility allowance, it should be 2,002,991. It is also correct. Transport allowance, so it should be 1,230,870. It is also correct. Why these things are correctly showing here? Because we have load the correct data in the application, or we are doing the correct calculations, otherwise we cannot see this. Okay, then the medical contribution. Now just look here. Basically they have defined the medical contribution should be 15% of basic salary. So let's calculate here the medical contribution. I am applying the manual formula. It should be 15% of the basic salary. So 1,037,991.75. It is also correct. Let's mark with green color. Then provident fund. Let's see, provident fund should be 3% of basic salary. So again, click here, 3% multiply by basic salary. So it should come 207598.35. See, this is also correct. Marking it as a green color. Then our SSB maternity leave, let's see, it should be 0.3% of gross salary excluding the transport allowance. So here I am calculating first the gross salary. So according to this sheet, my basic pay plus all the allowances. Okay, so right now I'm adding the transport allowance, but when we calculate the maternity leave, I'll leave this. Okay, so this is my gross salary. Now this minus maternity leave, because we are calculating this absolutely, and which we need to deduct, that is transport allowance, and we need to take 0.3%. So it should be 37397.743, and it is also correct, 37353. Basically the due to the rounding of the figures are after change after the point, but yeah, it is also correct, you can clearly see. Okay, now the next thing is state income tax. So we have defined 10% of the taxable income. And what is happening, basically I have not added everything for tax calculation, like medical contribution is not allowed to tax. Let me check here once. I already mentioned somewhere else. Okay, so I am going to add this row here so that we can identify which is taxable or which is not. Insert, yes. So basically okay, one more, this is also I need to take. Okay, so you can see that which we need to take in the gross and which is not. We want to calculate the taxable income basically. So provident fund is taxable, but medical contribution and maternity leave is non-taxable. Okay, so now if I am going to calculate the state income tax, this should be 10% of the taxable income. So how we can calculate this? We had added everything here in the gross salary. I'm just deducting the medical contribution because this is non-taxable. and then it should be 10% of that. Correct. So it is 1269614 something. See, it is also correct. So let's mark it with green color. And the next thing now which we need to see, that is federal income tax. So this is the final data validation. We are validating everything and nothing is wrong till now. Now, not this. We need to take everything once again, like the gross salary minus medical contribution, then it is 12% multiplied by 12%. So it should be 1523537 something. It is also correct. 1519055. Maybe there is a rounding of error, but yeah, absolutely correct. Where rest of the things are calculating correctly. If I see the difference, how much amount is a different amount. Okay, so I will check it once again, but rest we have already calculated correctly everything. So in this way we are doing the data validation in our sheet, and the final the year total is also done accordingly. So this is all about the data validation. Let me save this sheet at the required place. Now after this I am going to show you how you can make the transfers and departure. So go back to the application. This is all about the calculations we made here. Let's take a snapshot. In this way the calculation should be visible. Only then you can assume that you have configured everything correctly. Okay, and rest of the things, like where you can see these salary expenses, so it will be visible there in your financial statement. Okay, now let's go back to the compensation planning and let's see how we can transfer or resign or everything else. So now suppose I want to transfer this employee, Grants and Paul. So just click on transfer employees. Before doing this, let me show you one case. This is a case study. We have performed it earlier. So here you can see this is one employee transfer story. So basically here from one entity we have transferred the employee to the another entity. So say from sales US we want everything to the marketing US. Okay. So yeah, here you can see under the merit rates, this is the data form for merit rate. So entity was sales US. Okay. Now when we transferred this employee from sales US to marketing US, so everything like previously the default merit rate was 3%, but when we transferred, so the default merit rate automatically changed because there in the different entity it was 4%. So from 3 to 4 you can clearly see accordingly the calculation took place. Similarly here also you can see the IT, it was previously the IT manager, okay, from the grade 3, and now when we transfer to the another department, another entity, so the IT manager grade has been changed from grade 3 to grade 4. Accordingly the calculation took place. Again we can change the allowances, like before the IT manager getting the night shift allowance here also, but the rate may be different, and when he come here in the marketing US, so again we can change the assumption from night shift allowance to any other allowance also. Similarly you can see that medical benefit or fringe benefit was provided previously, and one more, that is children fees reimbursement. Now when we transferred from sales to marketing US, you can see we have given the extra allowance, that is car allowance, but not this children fees reimbursement. So it is automatically changed from children fees to car allowance. Okay. And now here you can see some more assumptions, like from state unemployment insurance we have deleted. In the next entity we are only going to give the FICA, and after that all the assumptions and calculations will be like this. Like suppose the employee worked in the sales US till January to June, from January to May or June. Okay. But when we retired, when we transferred this employee, so the calculation after this will be visible in the marketing US, not in sales US. So this is the story of transfer. Every calculation later after this you can see will be visible from July to December in the different entity. Okay, now let's do this in the application also. So whenever you click on transfer employees, there are two options, that is transfer out and transfer. So when we click on transfer out, so there is only one option. We can change the month. Like suppose we want to make transfer out in May. So from here you can give the comment also, and let's click on launch. So now the employee salary will be visible. We are transferring out from the June. Let's do one more thing. If we click on transfer, so it will be asking all the things, like not only the month. Instead, suppose in the June we are transferring, the source job was analyst. Okay, this is doing for analyst. Let's do it for sales associate. By mistake wrongly click. Transfer. This we want to do it from June itself. Source job is sales associate, and the transfer, it is transferring from marketing US. Now we want to change the target job. We want to make this associate as a sales director. So the post is also changed, and we want to transfer this employee to any other entity. Suppose we want to transfer this employee in the finance US. So just click here, and here I can give the comments also, and then click on launch. So now every calculation will be visible differently. Like if I want to see the sales associate, so let's see till when we get the calculation. Only till May, because after May this employee is transferring to the other department. So let me take the snapshot of this, and I'm going to show this thing here in the paint so that it will be easily differentiable. Let me highlight this. Only till May you can see the calculation, because from June this employee is getting salary in different department. Okay, so let's change the entity from here. Finance US. Okay, we have changed the designation also. This should be sales director now, and the entity should be finance US, because we have changed the entity as well as the designation. Okay, let's refresh it once. Okay, maybe there are some pending requests. Okay, there are review pending requests. We have not finally accepted the request, so we need to accept this. Just right click and click on transfer in, and wherever you want to see, just choose that entity. Let me select finance US and click on transfer. So when we make the final approval, only then we can see the employee transfer was successful. See this. So now you can clearly see the changes after this will be visible here. If I select here the, let me take the snapshot of this also. Basically now this employee calculation will be visible in the another entity. So for testing this, you can come back here in the tools, and under the user preferences you can change the entity. Like automatically you can see there is a finance director is visible. Let's make it sales director. Okay, yes, finance entity is correct. Yes, correct. So now you can see the calculation from June in the different entity. Okay, let me expand this also. Okay, let me highlight this. From June onwards you can see everything. Before the entity was marketing US, now the entity is finance US. Designation is also changed. Before the job was sales associate and now it is sales director. So in this way, whenever you transfer the employees, you can clearly see the changes. We are transferring employee from sales associate, and in bracket I am going to write the entity name, that is marketing US, to sales director, and the entity is finance US. So in this way we can make changes every time we want. Let's save this. As a transfer story. Similarly, you can do this for the retirement also. Like now suppose you want to make this employee retired. Okay, so you need to click on planned departure. Just need to specify the month. Suppose in September we want to transfer this employee. From here we can specify the year as well. Suppose we want to retire this employee in the next year. Okay, now in the actions we get two options, like we can resign or we can click on departed. So let's click on departed. We can write the comment if any, then click on launch. So the planned departure was successful. So if you now see the calculation, it will not be visible because let me check it once. Okay, I forget the employee name. Yes, it is second employee. Let's check all the employees one by one. Yes, it was third E0003, the client St. Paul. So because we have retired, so after that we cannot see the changes, and you can see the status also. So basically the calculation will be only visible till the employee is here in the organization, because when he retires, when he resigned the organization, or when we make departure, so we cannot see the change, the calculation after that. So everything should be visible according to the designation, according to the month when he retired or anything else. So this is clearly visible. Let me show you some more stories regarding that. Because today we are going to end this workforce planning session, so I'm just completing everything so that nothing should be left behind. Let's see here. This is the entity manufacturing US. We are talking about the John's Paul, and the project was unspecified project. Okay, we are saying just two things: the entity and the employee name. So basically, the administrative assistant, the post name, and then from manufacturing US to sales US, first we transfer this employee, then after that, after the transfer, the story will be visible in this way. Benefits are changed. Previously the benefit was visible here. Right now we can even change the figures also, but it is same. And here after the retirement, you can see the calculation will not be visible. When he retired, like we departed this employee, earlier it is visible for till December. Okay, but when we make departed, so only the calculation will be visible till October, because we departed this employee in the month of November. So in this way we cannot see the calculation after that. So whenever you click here and you make departed this employee, you cannot see the calculations later on. And this is the whole story, like how you make retired employee, how you departed, everything you can do here. Suppose the sales director is now going to resign the organization. Let's see how we see the calculations here. Not in financial year 24, let's see in 25, and click on launch. So now when we look here in the FY25, the sales director Cranston Paul, I guess the entity was also different. Basically, one thing needs to remind every time whenever you transfer or retire, departed, anything, just see the previous entity and the entity which is current entity, so that you can see the calculations correctly. Otherwise, if you forget what was the entity, so it will be quite difficult to see things. Okay, this is not senior director, this is sales director. So because this is financial year 24, you can see the calculations till December, but if I make this 25, so only till July the calculations are visible, because after that the employee gets retired. So let's complete this story also. Right here, this is after resignation. He resigned from August, so the calculation will be visible till August. And let's see before this. Sales director Cranston Paul, finance US, and the month is 25. Now I'm changing the month again to see the previous calculation for the financial year 24. Okay, before it is till July. Picture is wrongly posted. I mean, it should be above this. See the calculation before it is till July, and after that the calculation is not visible. Okay, so in this way you can understand the difference. Resigned in in August 25 something. So in this way you can make the differentiate things. Okay, now if everything is done, so this is all about the employee life cycle. Let me quickly revise everything once again so that the picture is clear. From where we have started things, how we load the data, metadata, everything. So I started working here by gathering all the requirement. We created the application, scenario, fiscal month, and weekly distribution. Then scenarios we have used here: the actual, plan, forecast, variance, working version, dimensional structure. We defined everything. Here are dimensions used like the account year, period, scenario, version, entity, employee, union, codes, component, job, everything. Then after that we have checked the organizational structure and whatever the allowances, perquisites we required basically here, what should be the salary grades according to the requirement sheet, we adjust everything. Then after that once we have everything in the Excel, the requirement document I mean, then after that come here, create the application by considering all the important aspects, then enable the features. Accordingly we enable features, we get the calculations, like we want to see the calculation for the employer and job both, so various things we have checked. And after that we have done the configuration. In the configuration we see how we can load the metadata, then how we can set the user variables and user preferences, we have set various assumptions and defaults. Then after that decisions, we have decided the merit rates, like if the employee will work as per the expectations, so we have given meet expectation merit rate, that means the increment for the salary to that employee, above expectation, below the expectation, so we defined everything there. Then we load historical data that we have done manually, we can do this with the help of CSV file also. Then after that how to raise a requisition, we have seen that the employee life cycle is finally started from here. We hired the new employee, and then we can change the requisition, how we can change, we have seen that also, how we can make approve, active, inactive, everything, how we run the rules for the sake of salary calculation, the synchronize, first way synchronize the compensation, then synchronize the defaults, and after that calculate the compensation. When everything is done, we get the calculation, then in the provided data form we can do the data validation steps. And after that we have seen the transfer story of the employees, how the employee can transfer, how he get departed or resigned, okay, and we have validated the calculations. So in this way we completed the whole story. So I hope this workforce planning will help you guys in the future if you want to do the custom workforce planning, so this will help there also. There is only one thing is required basically, that is the correct intersection which you need to take here, which should be wisely select. Basically if the assumptions are not correct, if the defaults are different, so you cannot see the exact calculation which you want, because you have already this requirement document handy with you, okay. So the calculations you want to see, it should be correct according to this requirement sheet, and we have validated everything. If you want to do the data validation for the totals, so you can make for totals also, we have checked for the 1 month and it was absolutely correct. Rest of the things you can add. If you want to do the succession planning, so that also you can perform here. So it's totally depending upon your requirement, what you want to see in your workforce planning. Rest you can make changes. So the main thing is you just need to aware with the basics so that you can make changes every time, okay. And finally you can see the analysis window. For everything we have done here, how many headcount and FTE was there, the total trend will be available here, the regular and contractor FTE. Then you can see what kind of headcounts we have added here for the analyst, sales director, and different posts. There is a total compensation analysis also, so you can see the basic salary, merit, and some more things like the benefits and rest of the allowances. So in this way you can compare things. For the decision making, it is very important to describe things in this way, like the whole graphical representation. And after that, skill set analysis. You just need to select your currency, headcount by skill set, because we have not added any skill set there, therefore it is not visible. So you can check that also. And the other expenses, like the whole expenses of the salary calculation, benefits, allowances, will be visible there in your financial planning, okay. So that you can see there. Now go back to the compensation planning again, and in the overview everything will be picturized in this way. The compensation plan, the total compensation details as per each year, it will be included by the basic salary, merit, total salary, total compensation, the new hire trend, the headcount comparison, actual versus plan, everything is clearly visible. So this is the whole story. And still, you guys, if any kind of doubts you have, so you can always ask. You can write us over the www.BISP Solutions. We'll definitely help you guys. So thank you so much for attending this session, and here I am closing the session. So thank you so much. Bye bye.